Hey, what's up all you EVE Online lovers? It's Craziness of the Internet here. We are back again with another video, and today we are celebrating 21 years of EVE Online's history with our CAPSULEER event. This is an event that EVE Online and CCP releases to us once a year, and today we're going to be discussing what it is like to get into the event, the hacking, the basics that you need to achieve all the way to the max level, and the prizes along the way. Basically what this is, you guys, is a tutorial based event. So this is to bring new players into the game and to give them an understanding of how things work in EVE Online. Yes, over the years we have had a revamp in what we call the tutorial to bring new players into EVE, which is an amazing thing because it is a very good tutorial and it does have good cinematic. But besides that, there is no other alternatives or really main tutorial based things to get players into the game with fast understanding. When it comes to in-game assets, there is really only one tutorial. So when it comes to this event and you think of it like other previous events, that yes, I could do this event and get myself some good ISK really fast, the actual ISK is going to come from trading these items amongst each other, because what you guys do not understand right now, as I'm seeing a lot of hate towards the event, is that these boosters are going to change the game for a few months and allow certain builds that you would deem super powerful to be broken by other builds, and allow other players of weaker meta to overcome a different ship or maybe the same vessel that they couldn't overcome before, because for a moment, other than their brethren, they may be boosted and that player may not. Understanding things like that is a good growth for the event and for yourself. Now when it comes to the event, you guys, and to understand the tutorial based thing and to get new players into the game, this event is based around that idea for a newer player to understand hacking, industrialization, collecting of mineral resources, and then to understand the basics of the Abyss. Now for the first time in EVE Online's history, we're going to have hacking abyssals. Now we do not know if this is a test by CCP and the devs where we could possibly see hacking sites in the Abyss in the future. Maybe they set up certain ways where you have to enter a site with via a combat ship and a hacking ship, so that maybe two style of players for the first time could interact together in an abyssal other than just PvP combat and repping themselves, because hacking and exploration is a big part of the game, and many players in EVE Online do like this casual aspect of play, not just PvP. But remember, you guys, that this is not a game to collect and sit around and just look at your ISK. This is a PvP sandbox game, so the goal here is to get out with your friends and PvP as much as you can and conquer whatever it is your in-game goal is, because in EVE Online the choice is always ours. So that is a good understanding to note. So if you are not one of those players that's gonna go out and buy the items because you're an older style player and you have lots of time in the game and you have the assets, so that doesn't really apply to you, and you just want to finish the event and get your rewards, that's fine. But when you're a newer style player, what you actually have to do is there's two things that you can do to start off in the event, and you want to head to any system in the game to be able to do this. For the first time, CCP made it possible that it's evenly spread out in low sec, null sec, and high sec, increasing the intensity of my engagement of me possibly encountering another player and having my site stolen from me or having myself killed. So for the first time, EVE Online and CCP and the devs have spread out evenly all of the sites across New Eden so that everyone can reach them over a certain time. Remember, if you are jumping around and you do not see them, it is not your fault. What is happening is just other players are doing them and finding them, so you just have to keep going or sit around and wait if you find a good system for them to respawn in. Now these sites, you guys, they can range in two things when you start out in the game, and that is hacking and combat. Now the combat ones, all you have to do is just look at your probe scanner, and if you guys do not know how to do this, you just go ahead and click your probe scanner like this, and when it pops up on the screen, if you are a newer player to the game, then you just go ahead and click this little box right here, which brings your probe scanner onto the screen. Then you can go ahead and close the map. Some people people like to use it, but I like to set it up like this, where I have my probe scanner, and now I'm just going to drag it over and release it with my directional scan. So now that you can see on my screen, I have a clean little spot, and that I have my directional scan and my probe scan on the same little box, and I can just click it easily. So when I'm jumping around in the sites, if I want to find the combat ones, which are the easiest ones to find out and start the game in, then all I have to do is just jump around and wait until it says the treacherous on my probe scanner, which you can see right here. And then we're gonna go ahead and right click this, and now we're gonna jump to the site. Now when it comes to these sites, they are pretty easy, you guys, as all you have to do is just kill these smalls right here, and you do 2 waves of it, so it's 2 waves of 5. So when you finish up killing the second wave, the NPC boss will spawn, and then all you have to do is just get on him and kill him really fast. He does dish out some heavy damage, so you have to take that into account, and he's mainly thermal based, so if you do want to engage him very easily, just have high thermal resistances, because it is a Trigvalian style vessel, so remember that they are mainly thermal and explosive damage. The other waves of NPCs do not really affect you or can't really hurt you. You can blitz these in a destroyer, but it is mainly situated to get players used to using their cruisers and understanding how that's going to work later on for them in EVE Online, because cruisers are actually a very heavy part of the game. You may not see it, as you see a lot of players using battleships and things like that, but you can do so many things with the cruisers in EVE Online, not just one kind, because remember, in EVE Online, you guys, the game is situational, so you make sure that you have different ships for different situations. There is no best ship does all. There is certain ships that are good at doing certain things over other ships, but each ship should be considered good in its overall self. But remember, when you compare the ships to each other, as they should never be compared in EVE Online to one another, they should always be compared to upshipping and downshipping, because you never really will get an even fight. It's very rare in EVE Online when that happens. So knowing that you have your cruisers and things like that, it should be very easy once you understand how to use the medium style based weapon systems and understand what the feel of taking damage in that ship is. Where the smaller ones, over time you can get used to it, but it does seem like really fast at first, because that is the pace of the game. So when you go small, medium, large, it is really fast paced combat and things like that at small, and you have to rep really fast and pay attention. So it gets your analytics to get things going really fast, and when you get to medium style things, it begins to slow down, and it becomes more about understanding your application and catching your enemy volley to reducing his DPS as much as possible, whether that has to do with range control, or that has to do with your web and stuff like that, or deleting and defanging their drones. Whatever that is, you just have to take all of that into effect. So it's a good understanding here that CCP and the devs are taking forward steps to get newer players to have a feel of what it's like as a cruiser style pilot, even though most players when they start out think the best ship is the biggest ship, but that is not the case in this game. We all know that the best ship is friendship. So once you finish up that site and you grab the loot, you can see that you get some rewards. Now these rewards can obtain in certain items such as CAPSULEER Day hats, CAPSULEER Day clothing, things like that, augmentations. There is some money items that only a few people have found. I do not want to reveal them here. I want for you guys to see what they are on your own, and maybe there is more money items to be found, but these things look cool. But once you loot it, you can see that you will eventually find blueprints and boosters and materials. Now remember that you do need some mining materials and some of these other materials that you are collecting throughout the sites to be able to manufacture the blueprints and to be able to do the filaments yourself. Now a good note to take in for yourself here is that this event is to showcase new players how to get into these things, and to show older players that may not have tried these things such as hacking or the Abyss, or gotten themselves into hairier things, because we do, you guys, in EVE Online have many players that do not ever even set into combat, and it might actually blow your mind thinking like that, because it is a huge heavily based PvP sandbox, but we do have those industrial based players that are full PI, full whole industry. So when you see these mechanics coming for the game, there is a lot of players that you wouldn't think that do this, but they do. So these upgrades to farming and to the planet interaction and things like that that are coming in the expansion are good for the game, but a lot of people would rather see PvP and more things involved in that matter. But we do have to take a step back from that at times and give the devs a break and let them focus on aspects of the game, because in EVE Online, you guys, we can't actually do what we successfully think we want to do in our head unless we have a decent economy. And sometimes the economy gets broken, but sometimes it goes pretty good. And so far for the last decade, it's been going pretty good. So that's a plus for EVE Online, I'd say, right there. And there is a lot of players that have a lot of ISK, but you have to remember that balanced among the players that haven't played the game as long as decade-old players. So just remember that and have fun in EVE Online when you're doing this. So what a good understanding to note is, if you are solo in this event, you guys, and you want to move forward solo, but it does make it easier for players to do it with a friend, because that is the goal here, you guys, is to link up and do it together. You can solo the things, but if you are doing this solo, take this into account. What I'm gonna say right here is, if you do not buy the materials, then you do want to do the hacking and the combat sites combined once you've gained enough materials, because each one of these sites will allow you to obtain to the higher tier sites. So it's not really about the ISK. What you have to do is get to tier 3 and 4. It's not really about tier 1 and 2. You can find good items sometimes in tier 1 and 2, but the main goal here, you guys, are the boosters. Now for EVE Online, old players that are veterans to the game, to capital ship pilots, to battleship pilots, to FCs, to any group in nullsec that is listening to me now, if you take a good look at these boosters, each one of them is different slots, and they do expire around the time that the expansion will be released. And what I mean by that is, when you have these boosters activated, as you can see, they range all the way from using our original boosters all the way to slot 17 that I've seen so far, which gets astronomically crazy, because when you start combining these together and you start using things like basic PvP ships, you can combine and do things such as 18% damage to multiplying, you can get 9% to your range, you can get 15% reduction on your armor or shield repair, you can get 9% bonuses across the board, you can get 15% scan resolution, which is your lock speed, and you can get 8% more tracking speed on top of that with your basic booster activated, whether you used a standard or strong. And for me as a brawler, I chose to use a standard, and what that does is give me 20% more on my armor repair ability. And you guys, that was just me taking the drugs. So I want you guys to take into account and understand that these boosters are the reward for the event, and we may or may not ever see these things again, but they are going to last a few months, which is actually crazy in my mind, because this will literally allow some FCs to change the tides of war, as they might have these things activated and their enemies do not. And when you start getting into the bigger ships and the bigger numbers, they start getting even stronger and doing even more, because there's things like capacitator ones that you could just stick on your facts. It just gets extremely strong. So I want you guys to take into effect and understand that in EVE Online, it is not about ISK. This is a percentile based PvP game, and the goal here is to break your opponent any way you can with any percentile advantage over them with your piloting skills. But allowing these huge bonuses across the board is what is the value here. And remember guys, it's up to you to go out and choose whether or not you want to gather them or not, because think of this for a moment. If you neglect the idea to collect these boosters, like most people are harvesting them now, and then over time when they start being used, like say the first month, they're going to become even more valuable. The second month they're going to become extremely valuable, and for the last 30 days most people won't have them. So when you engage a pilot that will have them activated in their booster slots, because these things do last 3 to 4 hours if you have high skills, which means that in the end of their final durations, if any of your enemy fleets any of your enemy small gangs, any of your enemy solo 1v1s do not have these boosters activated and do not have the basic chain links that I just described of the ones that I activate when I PvP now until they will expire. You will understand that it is extremely strong, and to your opponent they just won't be able to pump out and keep up with you, so it allows you to win some incredible fights. I hope you guys are enjoying the event, and remember you guys that this is a tutorial based event to show newer players and showcase them how to link up with each other, how to manufacture, how to explore, how to scan down a site, and how to hack these sites. This is why when you're an older base player or a long time EVE Online player, or maybe you just started within the year but you have an understanding of the game, this is why you guys, it is so easy for you and it seems kind of foolish, but the goal here is the boosters. And now what these boosters will do when they do expire is they are going to give CCP, if we do use them a lot, and I know a lot of people will, but it will give CCP the data that they can use later on in the game for release of new modules and new boosters and new ships that can change the outcome of EVE Online in the course of battle and things to come. Alright guys, then you can see right here that this is all you need to do to get yourself situated into the event Abyssals, and what you need to do to get yourself started in manufacturing and producing these for yourself. So you just go ahead and dock yourself in whatever home-based system and station that you've made yours, and make sure that they have an industrial manufacturing bay in there. Now if you are a newer player getting into this event, how to activate your industry tab is you just open up your Neocom menu here at the top left, and you make sure that you go to industry and then you click on industry, or it says right there you can use your keyboard and press Alt S as the command key, bringing up this window, and then you go ahead and just drag your blueprint over to the center here where the circle is, and then at the top it'll tell you how many runs on the copy of the blueprint that you have, and then over here it shows you the resources that you need, and these resources are the event resources. They are not needed for anything else except for these blueprints for the event. And then down here you have the basic resources that you need to acquire either by harvesting, trading, and interacting with other players, or just plain out buying it on the market. Now remember you guys, this event is encouraging you to just go out and trade with random players, because to acquire a steady flow of filaments, if you aren't buying the materials on the market, it is best for a combat player to trade what he needs with a hacking player, because a hacking player will need what a combat player has, and a combat player will need what a hacking player has. So if you are doing this solo, do remember that you should be doing both combat and hacking so that you can combine the resources and get yourself deeper and deeper into the abyss. Now you guys, also when it comes to the loot, you will once in a while come across these historical CAPSULEER clothing crates. Now they will give out better stuff for the higher tier that you're in, and sometimes they just give nothing. So I'll go ahead and show you guys right now that this is how you get most of the historic clothing that will be given, and the unique clothing for the event. Then you just click this right here and it gives you what you got. This is what you get out of those crates as a random item, and all of the items up here that you can see when I stack this, the clothing pieces are also things that I've gotten from opening the crates, with even the numbers range from 1 to 4. So you can see that those are the styles of clothing that I've gotten in this area. There are other ones that I do not want to reveal that I hope you guys do go out and get and try to find on your own. And remember that these boosters do go up to T3, and that the high reward here is the boosters, not actual ISK itself. So I hope you guys do go out there and find yourself the treasure item and enjoy the event. Now let's get back into the rest of it. Alright you guys, so once you have acquired enough materials and you have crafted your first exotic filament, whether it's combat or the hacking one, right now I'm going to show you guys the combat one. I just went to some random system on my way to Zarzak. So let's go ahead and open up my inventory here. You can see that I have the tier 1 sinister exotic, and I'm going to go ahead and use that now. Now remember, when going in here, my build is pretty basic. I didn't do anything special. All you have to do when you're in here is kill this battleship right here. Pay attention above you, as sometimes right there, a loot cache, which one did spawn for us right now. Sometimes a little loot box up there will spawn for you, and that's what you want all the way from tier 1 to tier 4. Remember you guys that when you do get into higher tier filaments, there will be towers on each side of you, so there will be a tower on this side and a tower on that side, and they will bombard you from long range. Also, while you're sitting here fighting this guy on your own, every once in a while there will be a little spawn of small guys that you should take out. If you are used to the abyss and stuff like that, the small ones will seem like they won't do anything too much, but over time they will, as we are just using basic Tech 1 cruisers and nothing too special. We do not have any implants in for armor repping and stuff like that. We just have basic boosters activated, so we're just going to keep playing. You can see that a spawn just happened right now, so make sure to kill the ones if you are using drones that will aggro your drones first, like I'm doing right now. And then just go ahead and get back on the battleship and finish him off. He is about to go down now, so if you guys wanted to see the basic build that I am using, it is this one right here. I'm using small weapons over medium ones, that way I can fit some more things on, because I'm just trying to go pretty basic with it, nothing too special. It is T1. You can farm the T1s and T2s pretty easily, so remember that. But also remember that you want to do these either with a friend, or if you're one of those players that uses alternate accounts, then to use your alt, because these are easier when you have another friend with you. Just take that into account. So he's about to go down right now, and then we're gonna scoop the loot from him and then head up and get the boss. He dropped us more items and more things that we need to craft to get to the next tier. The items that you will get in T1 will help you get to T2s, and T2s will help you get to T3s, and so on. It is best if you are solo to remember you guys to do both combat and hacking. That way you are able to utilize and get all of the resources that you need. And see why you do want the box in either a T1, a T2, or a T3, because this is what we got out of it. Now remember you guys, the goal here is the boosters and the historical crates in the T4. If you are hunting for loot and things like that, you want to make sure to stick to T3s and T4s. If you are new to the game, stick to T1s and T2s with your friends until you get a hang of it, and grind up yourself some good old boosters, because these things are super strong. Once you've acquired all your loot from the site, you just head on to the exit gate, which you should see on your overview as the origin conduit, and you can see that it looks like this, the same one that you get in the abyss. So remember that there is nothing else to do once you've killed the main battleship and get the loot can. Sometimes the loot can will not spawn in your site. That is just the randomness of the event sites. Now remember that as you go along, they will get harder. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. Alright, now remember you guys, when it comes to the event rewards for 21 years of EVE Online, remember the true reward here, you guys, is the boosters. But on top of that, we do have your daily CAPSULEER login rewards. Now that you guys can see, there is a top and bottom reward. Now remember, you do get both of these if you are Omega, and then once you Omega, you will get the rewards that you did miss. So that's a good plus right there. I would say it is a good moment to Omega if you didn't Omega already, and earn your way so that you can get this list of boosters right here, because this right here, guys, is the money maker, and that right there should be over $1 billion or 2 ISK just in those boosters, in the power of what they can do in the game and bring to us EVE Online players. Do remember, you guys, that the reward here is not ISK. ISK is really easy to get in EVE Online, and we can all go out and get it in many different ways. The goal here and the reward are these boosters. And reminding yourself that because these boosters are so powerful and unique to EVE Online, because these things do have the capability to allow players to break meta ships and allow certain things that should not be broken in EVE Online to now be cracked, and allow certain things that are just super strong to become even stronger in EVE Online. So it's a really cool thing to see for a moment, and for this 2 to 3 months of what will happen in EVE Online when these things are out and about, and how many will be harvested, and who's going to utilize them to their fullest? Will it be major null blocks and FCs? Will it be small gang brethrens? Will factional warfare players use it to change the tides of war? That's for us to remain to see, but so far we can tell that some of them combined are actually super powerful and allow you to achieve some serious fights and win some pretty outnumbered battles at some moments in the game, as we've already tested and witnessed it. So I hope you guys do take that into account and get out there and get yourself some of these boosters. But I just wanted you guys to see the rewards that you can get on CAPSULEER Day. And on top of that, you do have the agency event tracker. Now in the event tracker, all you do need is 1,350 points, and on the list right here it will tell you each thing that you need to do in order to get your next set of achieved points and add them to the bar. And on this bar here, you're going to get unique crates, unique skins that will never be achieved again in the game because they are only unique to the CAPSULEER Day event. So if you are one of those players that does go out and seek certain skins in the game that are super unique, then I suggest that you go out and get yourself some of these skins because you won't be able to obtain them again. But remember, you guys, that if you're one of those players that has a lot of IS and doesn't have a lot of time, that you can still just buy these from other players if they are willing to sell it to you, because just like this event in EVE Online, it is a game of social understanding and interaction. So by that it means that you should be trading with one another in all kinds of ways and not just sitting on your items and staring at them. We're going to show you guys what it's like to use the first ever in EVE Online's history, Hacking Abyssal. Now remember, these are relic based sites. They aren't very hard when it comes to the survivability of it. You just have to make sure that you do not fail the hacks. You do get 30 minutes to start the site to complete all of the cans. Remember to keep track of the order of the cans that you are using. Now once you are in the site, you guys, you want to make sure to keep an eye on your pattern. What that means is you want to choose your path correctly. As you can see that the cans are spread out in the same direction each time, so you just have to make sure to not miss one. The fastest way that I usually do it is I go this can to the one up here, to those two over there, then there's one over there, then three over in this spot, and then you have one over here with the other one. So these ones are the final ones. There is 13 total cans in each one of these sites. In the event abyssals, there is clouds that reduce and increase your speed, so make sure to be looking out for those as you choose your course of path. You always do, when you're in these sites, want to have a cargo scanner with you. That way you can go like this. Check the cans to make sure that they are even worth your time to succeed in the value. So you can see right here that we do have minerals that are needed to get to the next one, and if you scan the next one, it will keep the previous one scanned on the screen. So now you can see I have two, so I can go ahead and go through all of the cans, choosing which ones that I believe are more valuable to me and what I need to acquire to get to the next stages, or what you think is valuable to you or ISK-wise. Remember, when you are hacking your cans, to never go past the 5,000 meter mark, which is 5 kilometers. If you do, your relic analyzer will break and you will lose the hack. Now remember, the hacks are very easy. They're just like any other hack in EVE Online. When you find the end, you make sure that you crack the final system core, which will release the items to you. Once you finish successfully hacking the can, you can then go ahead and loot your results, and make sure, you guys, that you do not go further than your 30-minute mark, because if you do, the window will collapse and you will not be able to leave the filament. Now one thing that stands out before these filaments versus the combat ones is, in the combat one you cannot leave until you kill the target acquired, and then the gate will open. In these abysses you can leave at any time you wish, so keep that into account when you're watching your timer. That is everything that you need to know about the current event, and remember, in EVE Online the choice is yours.